When I went to make this video, I asked a poll on LinkedIn of which video I should do next, if it was AI tools, soda pop startups like Olipop, or canned or bottled cocktails. The vote actually got split 1/3 between each of them. So I decided to start with AI startups because it's on everyone's brain. We're all talking about it. It was just what I felt like talking about today. We're going to look at the branding of AI startups, specifically B2C AI startups. I mentioned in my last Everything I Learned as a Freelancer this month video, I have started to play around and embrace different AI tools in my work to see if they are useful, which ones are going to take my job, which ones aren't. For now, I think we're okay. There's just been a massive rise in these startups this year because of all the buzz. When I get newsletters like TechCrunch or Wellfound, they're just like full of AI these days. I feel like they're 50% of these newsletters, and you start to see patterns coming out of the names of startups, the branding, how they describe themselves. I thought it'd be fun to take a deep dive into some of those companies and look at how they're differentiating themselves or how they're presenting themselves. One of the first things I have noticed is that a lot of these companies use AI in the name. A lot of them will have .ai at the end because that is a URL that you can have. The pros of that is that it instantly establishes yourself in the category. People instantly get it that you're AI. It's a very buzzy field, so some people will be very excited by that, probably investors. But on the cons is that a lot of people still don't really know how to use AI tools in their day-to-day life, and a lot of people are still turned off by it. A lot of people think it might be more complicated than it is, and it could come off as too techy. I want to take a closer look at how some of these companies are naming themselves, if they're putting forward AI, or if they're instead framing it within a benefit that's more easy to understand. I want to go to some of these lists to see at a glance what's going on, and then we can dive into a few of them. If you look on Wellfound's top startups for artificial intelligence, you'll see names like Tessie and Taiku. I probably said that totally wrong. Weights and Biases, Labelbox, People.ai, there's one of the .ai's. Securely, it's all these like very B2B sounding, AlphaSense, B12, Doma. A lot of these probably are quite B2B. Seamless.ai, AppZen. They're not very exciting at first glance. They sound very B2B and boring at first glance, but I don't know these companies. Maybe they're not boring, and maybe all brands sound boring at first glance. Let's just start with the one that everyone is using, ChatGPT. When you land on their site, this specifically is ChatGPT's site, not OpenAI's site. OpenAI is the parent company. It is very simple. It just has a get started, login, and then ways to basically recommendations of prompts to use and how you can use it. I think that's really smart because it's instantly giving people a frame of reference, a context. How do I use this thing? And it's similar to WeTransfer, where it doesn't have to like hit you over the head with, hey, put in these prompts and send these files and blah, blah, blah. It's like you just do it. The reason why they're probably doing that at this point is that enough people have heard of ChatGPT where they know what it is. I tried to look on Wayback Machine what it looked like a few months ago, but it wasn't really working for me. So I bet that it looked different when people didn't have as much frame of reference, but now everyone and their mom knows ChatGPT, so it's smart to just give people prompts, make it really simple, help them see how they could maybe use it. Instead of focusing on maybe B2B or more sciencey oriented AI companies, I want to look at ones that are more B2C that we in our everyday work might use. So I'm looking at Zapier as the best AI productivity tools by category. We've got ChatGPT in here. We have Jasper, Grammarly, Descript, Midjourney. Let's take a look at some of these. If we go to one that's leaning very heavily into AI, it's Adcreative.ai. It's in the name, it's in the URL. The good part of that name is that it's very clear what it does. You are using AI to create creative content for ads. The landing page is very all about AI, artificial intelligence powered ad and social creative. So really in your face about what it does. Then it goes in directly into the benefits that you can generate creative in a matter of seconds using artificial intelligence, get better results while saving time. This to me is very functional. You can see the benefits. One of the top 3 fastest growing products in the world. It'll help you sell fast. It's funny because the people doing ads are growth marketers, and I feel like this landing page is very oriented towards growth marketers, not so much of the emotion. It's more just use AI to produce more and faster. So I think it's probably effective at who it's aiming at and what it's trying to do, but not the most interesting brand. There's this subset of AI companies that are leaning into the sort of Siri, Alexa naming where they're using a person's name. One of the ones that I hear a lot in my world is Jasper, Jasper.ai in the URL, but the name itself is just Jasper, so they're not using AI in the name. So meet Jasper, on-brand AI content wherever you create. Jasper is oriented around copywriting, and they even included a new brand tone of voice. I personally used it and I didn't find it that helpful. Maybe if you have like no copywriting background, it would be helpful, but compared to a human copywriter, I find it lacking. They lead with on-brand AI content, so they're leading with AI. I feel like they could go a bit less functional descriptive, just on-brand AI content wherever you create, and instead lean into more of the emotional value proposition. What is this doing for me? With Jasper, what can I do better than a copywriter? Is it create more content? Is it to create better, more on-brand tone of voice? Here it has it a bit further down, more efficient and more effective. They have results-oriented. First impression of these sites is that they're aiming themselves at founders and maybe growth marketers or people who are not creatives. I'd be really curious to see how they would aim themselves at creatives and be like, no, don't be scared of this, you can use this, but maybe they do want to replace creatives. So, maybe that's why we're all scared. They really lean into social proof, how many people are using it, helps you keep consistent in your tone of voice. I think that this does an okay job, but they're still really leaning into like, this is AI content versus like, what does that actually make an impact on my business? Maybe they just assume that people know and that's why they're there. I definitely had a hard time orienting myself within the product when I was testing it out. I think that's like my big question around the branding of all of these AI products is like, is it being AI enough for me to know how to use it and want to use it? I personally don't think so. I think you need to help people, give people a context and help them see the benefit in their life. Right now, I think people are really curious and using it and going off of a lot of word of mouth of other people saying, hey, I used this thing. Have you used AI? People not wanting to feel like they're falling behind. But I definitely see a group of people, myself included sometimes, that don't use AI tools because we don't know how to use it yet. I think the companies, they probably have just been focused on getting these products out, improving them and like moving fast. But if they put a little bit more into helping people see how to use it, maybe they'll be doing that long term. For example, with Jasper, if they're aimed themselves at founders, I think there could be some interesting landing page copy around like get your landing page up in, a day, which is what a lot of founders want, and they want to move fast and they don't have big budgets to hire copywriters. Another one that's using a name is Claude.ai. I don't know exactly what it does. It's in open beta, so it seems a little earlier. They do have this Claude for Business, constitutional AI, more serious stuff at the bottom where top looks more like lifestyle branding. I wonder what this does. You can't tell what it does it just says talk to Claude, but I have no idea what it does when I get on this landing page. Claude for Business, it says it's a next generation AI assistant for your tasks no matter the scale. A little unclear. I'm sure after they get out of beta, they'll include more info here. But when I land on this, I'm like, I have no idea how to use this or how this lands in my life. So they must be leaning on marketing outreach elsewhere. The funny thing with Claude and Jasper is that they are giving these names. And Claude and Jasper are interesting because they both feel, I don't know if this is true, but they both feel like they could be a British butler, kind of like the Ask Jeeves. And so they are trying to position themselves as like, this is an AI assistant. I think through the name, that's quite helpful. Although a lot of products have had names in the past few years, that's been quite popular. Look at all the pet food brands that are direct to consumer. Look at what's the razor one? Billy. So names have kind of been around, but by using Claude and Jasper that feel like maybe this British butler, you can see that these are AI tools that are going to assist you, which I think is pretty smart without having AI in your face. And it places itself within relation to Siri and Alexa, which is so pervasive in culture, everyone knows how to use it. Another company that I think is branding AI smartly is Canva. They have new AI tools within Canva, but they're calling it magic design and I believe magic writing. By calling it magic, I think it's really smart because a lot of people who are using Canva are creative or more creative. Obviously, it's not like Figma where it's like heavily designers, but I think that by calling it magic, you are getting across all the values of AI, that using AI can feel like magic, that like all of a sudden this thing was made for you or written for you or done for you. And it's not super in your face about AI and maybe turning some people off. I think that's really smart on their part. Another tool that I love using is Notion, and they've been really pushing Notion AI the last few months. That's been one where I'm really curious how it's been for them, because when it first popped up, it was just like introducing Notion AI. And for me, it really felt like they were just trying to like capitalize on the AI craze, but I didn't really have any sense of how I was supposed to use it within Notion. And I actually still haven't used it. I know people who have, they said it's great, but to me, it's that classic example of like, okay, you're just saying AI is here, but what does that mean for me? What does that do for me? Whereas when I saw magic pop up in Canva, I kind of like immediately knew how to use that, even though I haven't yet. But I had a sense of like, oh, this will just like do something for me in the design, similar that I can just have like a template. I feel like it's more intuitive how to use it. And Notion AI, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with it. If you go to the landing page, it says work faster, automate tedious tasks. So they're trying to help, but I think there could have been a name that would have been more interesting, like Notion Automatic or something, or Notion Summarize or something like that. Because I've noticed that some tools that I use that are AI, like Otter, they give you automatic meeting notes or summaries, and those are all done with AI, but it's giving you the benefit in what it's replacing just through the name of it. Versus if it was just like, use AI in this meeting, I would be like, I don't know how to use AI in this meeting. But if you're like automatic meeting notes, oh, okay, great. Like it's easy to get. Here's a great example. It's really buried deep into the page, but it says write better, communicate with confidence. And it says improve writing like a one-click photo editor, but for your words. That little phrase instantly gives people some context. Oh, wow. Okay, I get it. And so I think these companies need to be like surfacing that higher. You know who does a great job of this is Descript. Let me go to their site. So Descript definitely uses AI, but I would never think like immediately of AI when I think of Descript. I just think of a much easier audio and video editor. I use it for these videos. I've used it for audio transcripts in the past. One of the things that they always say is that it's as easy as editing a Word doc. So by giving you that context, you instantly see how you're going to be using this and how easy it is. If you go to their landing page, it says there's a new way to make video and podcasts a good way. Super simple. Oh, okay, I do want a good way to make video and podcasts. It's not like Descript, the AI video and podcast editor, even though they're using AI. One that I heard about recently that I heard a lot of Gen Z is using, I don't know if that's true, but it's called Tome, and it makes, or Tome, I wonder. And that one is just .app, it's not .ai, and they make presentations automatically. So from your mind to theirs in fewer steps. I don't know if I love that copy. I don't think that is very clear what that is. From your mind to theirs in fewer steps, like, okay, I'm communicating a thought and it's getting into their head. It leans like a little too much into like telepathy. I just think of telepathy. I don't know. I don't think of like creating presentations. New medium for shaping and sharing ideas. I feel like maybe if it was like presentations that don't take hours, something as simple as that, oh my God. Everyone hates making presentations and decks. They do have some nice examples here, so you can kind of see it in context. I think maybe they're just trying to lean into like general storytelling rather than decks, but I feel like that's a bit too lofty for this point in time, and they should just lean into like a new way of doing presentations and decks that don't take hours. Well, they say it's not a deck or a doc or a splash page. It's a fluid multimedia canvas that lives on the web and looks great on any screen. I mean, that must be important to them, but I think if you were like, it's better than a deck, that would be a lot simpler. This isn't your average deck. Like really comparing to deck at this stage in time of the company, I would go with something like that rather than this lofty, like, ooh, a canvas storytelling, because that stuff is so amorphous and hard to figure out how that fits into your day-to-day life. They include AI stuff, but they don't like hit you over the head with it. Add structure and polish to your work. Communicate unconstrained. Yeah, it's this very like lofty way of getting across the benefits. I think they could do with having some situations there, similar to like how ChatGPT offers those prompts, like what are you using this for? But I think it's an interesting tool. I have not tried it yet. I want to look at some of the other ones that I came across in that Zapier article and some others. This one is called Uizard. It looks like wizard, but it starts with UI. I wonder how you say that. But the good thing is you can instantly see through the name, oh, okay, it's going to do something magic with UI for me. Again, that's sort of like leaning on magic with the idea of wizard. I don't hate the name. I just wonder how you say it. Design stunning wireframes. Oh, this is great because their landing page, it instantly shows you the ways that you can use it. Design stunning interfaces, wireframes, prototypes in minutes. So very, very clear what it's doing for you. World's easiest to use design and ideation tool powered by AI. It includes the AI, but it's not like hitting you over the head. It's instead leading with the benefit of how you can use this into your day-to-day life. I love this line, no design experience required. So you instantly have a sense of who this is for. It's not for your typical designer. Another one listed in the blog post was Soundful. Right away, I have an idea that this is for audio. The future of music is here with Soundful's AI music generator. I'm kind of against all this AI music, but you know, artists have been making stock music for a long time. That's not exactly creatively fulfilling if you look at like all of Selling Sunset soundtrack and all of that weird mood music. It's not like that's real art. But at the same time, an artist was making it and they got paid for it, which is better than AI music generator. As the girlfriend of someone who works in music and audio engineering, I think I kind of have to be against the AI tools. I'll ask him. Maybe I don't need to be. Maybe it's okay. Leverage the power of AI to generate royalty-free background music for your video streams, podcasts, and more. It's basically creating original stock music for you. So it's probably positioning itself more against these stock music sites than anything else. But again, leading right away with the description, AI music generator. I use as my framework Donald Miller's Building a Story brand, which is all about positioning the customer as the hero. So I'm not a big fan of hero copy being this is what we are, because it's placing you, the company, as your hero. And a lot of these sites are doing that. You do need to have some sort of description or easy way for people to get what you do, but it's a real balance of the what and the why and the value proposition to the customer. Especially in earlier stages, you need to play up the what like a little bit more, versus if you land on Apple's site, they could maybe play up like the why a bit more because everyone knows what Apple does. That being said, I don't think you need to just have AI music generator. You could instead lead with the like generate royalty-free background music. They're definitely aimed at like content creators, probably your TikTokers, very mood-oriented, built for you, producers, creators, brands. So I like that they have a very clear, super specific who. Notice it's not for artists. Another one I saw mentioned is Synthesia. Synthesia? Not sure. This one definitely has more typical tech branding. It has that typical blue that we saw with Dropbox, Inbox. This uses a very classic landing page where it has the category in small, the value proposition, and then additional description of how to use it. I follow that pattern quite often with landing pages. I find it really effective. So the category is number one, AI video generation platform. The value proposition, create professional videos without mics, cameras, or actors. I think that's great. You instantly see how to use it in your everyday work life. Turn your text into high quality videos with AI avatars and voiceovers in over 120 languages. Then they include the description of how to use it. I think that's great landing page copy. Even though the brand is quite tech, it's not very fun. But you're making videos with AI avatars, so I don't think that it's necessarily supposed to be fun. Although it could be if it was like, you know, Sims or Bitmoji, that could be fun. Honestly, that would be like really fun if companies were like, we're gonna have, I don't know, like a bear teaching our demos. Maybe that's just me. Even though I don't think this brand is very sexy or exciting, they are very clearly communicating what they do in a way that's not just like hitting you over the head with AI again. To sum up, I think we'll see a lot of the branding and messaging of these companies change over time as people become more comfortable with AI and it's not so like gold rush right now. I think that as people get to know these products more, they'll maybe lean a little bit away from just like hitting you over the head with like AI descriptions, especially as other competitors pop up. Branding will need to become a differentiator alongside effectiveness of product. I think that's very important with these AI tools. We're not going to use it if it's not effective. But I do think good branding can play a big part in setting these apart from each other. From a brand perspective, I tend to prefer the ones that are able to more easily communicate how they are going to improve the customer's life and how they are situated within the customer's life, especially because this is new for so many people, versus the ones that are just like, we're an AI platform, AI, because you don't really know what to do with that. You have to place your customer as the hero and help them easily understand at a glance, or they're going to give up because it's going to be too difficult, at least until everyone is using it and they feel very far behind. But I think to get people more comfortable with it earlier, you need to help them understand how to use it faster. I'm excited to see where this field goes. Will we have jobs? Will we not? That's a whole other discussion. But I do think some of these tools can be really helpful. And I would like to see some more experimental branding within the space and not so much tech companies that all look alike. That's all. I'll see you for the next one.